Let's get to the press review, and in particular the international press, and for that we bring Nicholas back in. Let's get straight into North Korea.
Thank you, Prue. I'm going to turn straight to the International Herald Tribune, and it has a cartoon which portrays the feat of the dear leader. There you can see a pedestal there with a statue of Kim Jong-il, and a military person is telling the son and successor, Kim Jong-un, "You've got big shoes to fill." A reminder there that the deceased dear leader was a mere 5 foot and 3 inches tall and liked to wear platform shoes to make himself look taller, Prue.
I'd forgotten about that. That's right, the shoes. Now, what are the South Korean papers saying?
Well, there is one paper that I saw, the Jung-ang Daily in South Korea, and it has an interview with a South Korean former delegate of six-party talks on North Korea's nuclear ambitions. The name of that person, Lee Soo-hyuk, and he says that Pyongyang sees nuclear power as non-negotiable, and that is how it will remain under this new leadership in North Korea. Now, Lee Soo-hyuk is saying that there is a worst-case scenario in his eyes, and that would be if North Korea implodes, it collapses, China then stations its troops in the country, and that would spark a new Cold War, this time not between Russia and the former Soviet Union and Washington, it would be between China and the US.
People love talking about worst-case scenarios, but you found a more optimistic take.
Well, this is really very optimistic, and that was in the Bangkok Post, and it's by a former Japanese defense minister. There, the headline there, North Korean revolution might not be far off, and that is by the former Japanese defense minister Yoriko Koike. And he is saying there that there are substantial doubts whether aging commanders in North Korea can swear loyalty now, in fact, to what he calls a callow paper general, a reference there to Kim Jong-un. Now, Koike is saying that history in the region, in Japan and China, is suggesting a clean transfer from father to son is the exception and not the rule. Now, he argues if those generals and the Kim dynasty have fraying relationships, anything could happen, big change may be afoot, and that's all the more so, he says, as, surprise, surprise, social media, internet access may become a factor to play in North Korea. Internet access, of course, the country is cut off, but at the borders, apparently there are about 1 million people in North Korea who do have access to information.
How extraordinary. Finally, not finally, but quickly, transfer of power brings us to Russia.
Another delicate transfer of power, this time concerning our man Vladimir Putin at the top in Russia, but perhaps not for long, according to radio talk show host Yulia Latinina, who writes in the Moscow Times that there's something really fundamental going on here, which was that Moscow is kowtowing to Washington on this. And she points to an example of August 2008. The Kremlin then wanted in the Georgia-Russia war to basically hang Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili by his crown jewels. And no sooner did Washington speak up that the Kremlin backtracked. And just saying the same thing is happening again. The Kremlin began a crackdown, this time on pro-democracy activists, but when Hillary Clinton spoke up and the European Union also raised its voice, then the Kremlin started behaving again. The Pakistani paper, the Dawn.com, meanwhile, is carrying a piece by Marsha Gessen, an American journalist in Moscow, who argues that watching an authoritarian regime disintegrate is like watching an episode of House. She says it's just, well, someone who was enjoying an active lifestyle at the beginning of the show is suddenly experiencing multiple organ failure 15 minutes later, with the doctors frantically trying to figure out why. Now, she's predicting the Putin power structure will come tumbling down and Dr. House will not be to the rescue.
No, Hugh Laurie cannot be everywhere. But quickly, let's talk about Syria.
Syria, quickly, there, the uprising continues. The problems about Syria continue. The Daily Telegraph in the UK says that there were tens of thousands of protesters confronting Arab League monitors in Homs, the central city. There you see the headline, "We are dying," a plea from a besieged city. And the analysis in the paper is that basically these monitors may write their report, but events in Syria may overtake what they write. And it says that now this situation in Homs, the events have basically been it could be a turning point. It could be the similar kind of thing where the Americans and Obama said to Mubarak, "We're not giving you support." Could this situation in Homs yesterday be that turning point for Syria?
We'll see. Nicholas, thank you.